He's checking. Okay.
It's not a lot of money, but still, your point is accurate.
Yeah, but you have you want to...
Yeah, you should probably write it on here.
Good afternoon. My name is Gil Cedillo. I'm joined by my colleague, Mr. Marquise Harris Dawson. Today is Wednesday, May 23rd, 2018, room 1010, City Hall. This is the Housing Committee, and we are prepared to start with public comment. Ms. McAllister, you are up first, and then Ellen Greenlee, Becky Dennison, Christine Rangel, Dagan Bayless, Guadalupe Sanchez, Jared Wright, Kendra Dodds, Marie Patino, and Laura Raymond, Michael Perret. So, Ms. McAllister, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking at Agenda 22, 23. I'm interested in accountability. Things look good on paper, but I don't see anything being accounted for. For instance, taking $7.5 million, you're waiving $7.5 million that HACLA was supposed to use for housing, and you say you're going to give it to the summer youth program, camera systems, employment technology, recreation. Well, how can we keep track of that? How do I know that $7.5 million is going there? You see what I mean? There's no accountability. I did visit the accounting office, chief accounting office, and they said they just go by what you all submit. So, you have to have a federal audit in order to actually see if this is happening. We need receipts. I can easily keep track of it if HACLA had to pay it back in taxes, but when you're doing all this little stuff here, what am I going to do? Go to the recreation program to see that you do that? Just like the housing. Under HHH, I drove by 10 so far. Nothing's been going on except one. You're not building anything. If we didn't check, you see, I've been checking. So you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I'm not just being paranoid. So I want some accountability here. There's a lot of money floating around, and it's not going where it's supposed to go. Now, if it's not going where it's supposed to go, it's going in somebody's pocket. That's just common sense. Now, here, this other item where you want this debt limit allocation, $25.7 million, the MCC Mortgage Credit Program, that's to help first-time home buyers. I have a problem with that because most of them are illegal aliens. Okay, that's why we've got about 10,000 black people who are homeless. So I want to know what the criteria is. I want to go to these meetings to see who's getting what. And I want a list. I want some names and addresses of these properties so I can go and look at them. I might not knock on the door. I may knock on the door, but I want to see the properties. I want to see who's coming in and out of them. And it should be listed by race. We should have some that's telling the ethnicity of these people. Now, my public comment is I'm very disappointed in the city of Los Angeles, this city. You can turn your back if you want to, but when we get you out of office, you won't have to turn your back. It's been very disrespectful. I'm talking about Harris Dawson.
Please focus.
Okay. We want some accountability. We've got about, 10,000 blacks on Skid Row, and in their districts, Harris Dawson and the other two blacks, Corinne Price and Wesson, they've got about 6,000 based on LASA's count of black homeless people, when only like 30% Hispanics are homeless in their areas. So it's clear to me that these illegal aliens get preference over black people. And I don't like that. I don't like driving by Skid Row seeing my people laying on the street. And if we have to get some Republicans in office, get you all, and Villaraigosa, he's a loser, and our current mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Greenlee?
No, I'm Gerard Wright.
Mr. Wright.
Yes. Good afternoon, Gerard Wright, Policy Manager for LA County Business Federation. We are a grassroots alliance of more than 170 trade organizations and business organizations, and with 390,000 employers employing 3.5 million people in Los Angeles County. Just want to call attention to kind of a 1,000-pound elephant in the room, because Costa-Hawkins repeal is a big effort foot on that, and BizFed members are opposed to the repeal efforts, but we want to extend an olive branch in trying to find ways of increasing housing supply, because we see that as a means of trying to build and drill and improve housing affordability through housing production. That 1,000-pound elephant in the room is CEQA reform. We see a couple pieces of legislation that's going through the process, AB 3027 by Assemblymember Chavez and AB 1804 by Assemblymember Berman, which will increase housing supply through CEQA streamlining. This will reduce lawsuits, CEQA lawsuits that tend to drag out the amount of times that it will take. Oh, all right, that will just conclude my comment. But take a look at those pieces of legislation for consideration for housing, increasing housing supply. Thank you.
Let me suggest that rhetorically that you might want to talk more about CEQA abuse as opposed to reform.
It's a combination of both, and I submitted a letter at the beginning of this month to the members. I will resubmit that.
Thank you. Alan.
Good afternoon. My name is Alan Greenlee. I'm the Executive Director of the Southern California Association of Nonprofit Housing. And SCANF was a member of the Coalition for Just Los Angeles, which was the coalition that worked really hard to pass the linkage fee. And so I'm here to speak today in support of the motion presented by Councilmember Bonin to increase the fee in high market areas from $15 to $18. And we support that for a whole slew of reasons, but at least three items I want to point out. One is that the Nexus fee study that was conducted by BEA Economics said that the high market areas could actually support, from a feasibility perspective, development at a much higher fee level than the $18 that's proposed by the amendment. And the other item is that there are a number of communities, Pasadena, Santa Monica, and West Hollywood, that have fees that are considerably higher than that. And in each of those communities, there's been an increase in development. So we encourage the support of that amendment. Thank you.
Christine.
Good afternoon, honorable members. Christine Rangel, Building Industry Association, here to talk about item number 25. While BIA is glad to see the city moving forward with such a concept as a workforce housing exemption, our members are completely unable to take advantage of this exemption as written. We are truly grateful for CD1 and all of their hard work that they have put into this ordinance. However, we're very disappointed from the report back from HCID. The biggest error occurs here. No middle-class family or individual is going to purchase a home under the proposals program because the point of buying a home is to have an investment, something that, like a pension or 401k, is an insurance policy for their future. And HCID knows that a middle-class family is not going to purchase a home they'd have to turn around and sell with a penalty of paying the linkage fee, plus any increase to the home's value. And if buyers won't buy, developers won't build. So HCID's proposal takes money from middle-income families to go into city coffers. Anyone with this option will move to Lancaster or San Bernardino without the penalty. It assures more cars on the road and more people living hundreds of miles from their jobs. HCID has chosen to present a program that they know will not be utilized.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Dennison.
Hello, I'm Becky Dennison from Venice Community Housing, and I'm here to speak in support of number 24, increasing the high market fee on the linkage fee. As has been said, it's supported by all of the research and all of the council members, and actually I think mostly the development communities in the communities where it would take effect. It's a pretty small area of the city in areas that are seeing amazing development margins and can certainly afford a slightly higher fee. And it's important for us every time we pass a policy to make sure that we've maximized the amount of money the city can collect to meet its urgent affordable housing needs. And so we're really hoping that you will pass this through and attach it to the linkage fee immediately so that when it goes into effect in next month potentially, that it'll be attached at the same time with no delay, and we can start collecting those higher fees as soon as possible. Important source of revenue to meet the lowest income people's needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Dagan. Dagan, Guadalupe, Kendra.
Good afternoon, honorable members. My name is Dagan Bayless. I'm the Director of Organizing with SAGE. And I'm here to speak on item number 26, but I'll speak on that later. In general, I think it's important for us to recognize that the scale of the problem of high rent burden and homelessness is well beyond any of the individual solutions that are being presented, and therefore we need to pull on all the levers at once. I feel like we need to do all of these different things. We need a robust linkage fee. We need to leverage the money from the development agreement with USC and similar agreements to the maximum possible extent. And the general principles that are derived from our work with people in South Los Angeles are that we first need to do no harm. That it's great if we have a net gain, obviously, in affordable units, but if people who've been in their homes for decades have to leave, that is a problem. So we ask for robust linkage fee. We'd like right of return provisions, net gain of affordable housing, strong tenant protections, and resources for eviction protection, legal resources. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Guadalupe Sanchez. I'm not happy for the program RIP close in my property. For the owner, I gave a notice 2.5 months, and they say the property is not ready. My sink is blocked, and the hallway, my old room, my son, is all the paint is out, and the laundry room, this block, the water is not coming up.
Okay. Okay, can we get somebody from housing to work with Ms. Sánchez? Su dirección, por favor.
What's your address?
Su dirección, your address?
618 West Main Street,
San Pedro. Ah, okay. Put the CD1 for a second. Oh, you're working with her? Okay. Thank you. Okay, we've got Kendra. Keandra. Hey, Kendra. And Laura Raymond. Maria Patino.
Hi, my name is Keandra Dodds. I'm a Senior Program Director of Policy with Enterprise Community Partners. I'm here to speak on item 24. I'm also part of the Coalition for a Just LA, the campaign that helped to pass the linkage fee, and I'm here to support the amendment by Council Members Bonin and Koretz and Rue to increase the high market fee to $18. It's been mentioned before that the Nexus study and research by the city says that those markets can support this. I think it's really important. It could potentially bring in up to $6.3 million per year, which can really be used to help prevent people from falling into homelessness and really help our Angelinos who are most in need. We should be trying to maximize our resources, and I also encourage you to pass this before we start collecting the linkage fee. Thank you.
Before what? What was the last thing you said?
Before it starts being collected. So it starts 6 months from passage. I think it's June, I forget the exact date, but so as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Raymond. I'm also with the Coalition for Just LA. I'm campaign director with ACT LA. Our coalition does not support action on item 25, the exemption of middle-income homeownership units from the linkage fee. This exemption would cost the city $17 million a year in desperately needed funding for affordable housing. Unlike the other affordable housing exemptions, here the price of the units can increase once the first-time home buyer moves out. And the current ordinance also targets exemptions to moderate-income units already, and the fee is going to home buyer assistance already. So we feel like this market is already covered. Furthermore, the Nexus study showed these developments can support this fee. In fact, this fee is well below what the Nexus study showed could be supported. The cost to the policy is simply too high. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Maria Patino, and I'm with SAGE. We are members of the Unidad Coalition, and we're here to speak on behalf of item 26, which is the USC Neighborhood Preservation Fund. And as you all know, we've been working on this issue around USC and the development agreement since the beginning. And this actually got authorized in 2012, the $7 million. But, ever since 2012, the money has I guess, lost its value. So we really want the $7 million to get out the door as quick as possible, because the longer we wait, the more housing is being lost. So we really ask you to do an efficient process in order for this to be released immediately. And also, for the fund administrator, we need someone who understands the community and is experienced in small multifamily preservation. They need to know how to work this type of structure. Like I said, we just don't want any more delayment. And also, we really need the deepest affordability. 80% AMI is not affordable. We really need 30% or 50% AMI. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Parrott, is that the whole list? Perry Cameron, Rabea Sen. Michael? Go right ahead, Michael.
My name is Michael Parrott, and I actually was homeless for a year until I was helped out by a friend because I did not want to actually acquire more mental illnesses and tack on things in order to actually qualify for housing, like many people do, because that's what you do if you want to get helped. And so many people who don't have disabilities, will end up acquiring them so that they can qualify out of hope to actually get housed. One of the things that you notice when you're on the streets is all of the buildings that stay empty for a long time. And I was just hoping that maybe there could be a database where landlords have to register for the tenants and make that a requirement for an unlawful detainer, because what they do is have people who can't afford apartments rent them so they can keep the deposit and last month's rent, and then you may negotiate, well, I won't file unlawful detainer and put an eviction on your record if you just leave. And they do that continually, month after month. And so in order to prevent some of that, if there was an actual requirement for them to have to register their tenants, I think it would help things.
Thank you.
Good afternoon to the council members, committee members. My name is Perry Cameron. I'm counsel for the property owner on item number 17, 9510 North Van Nuys Boulevard, LLC. I'm here to support the rent restoration request that was made by letter dated May 8, in which I understand has the backing and support of HCIDLA. I just wanted to reaffirm that all corrections have been made, all remediation efforts have been made to the units in question. They're made the subject of the restoration request. And we would ask respectfully that the matter be set on the City Council's May 30 committee hearing instead of the June 1 hearing. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Rabia Sen with Esperanza Community Housing, a proud member of the Unidad Coalition. And we are here today to add our comments to that of our colleague from SAGE regarding item number 26, the USC Nexus Study Area. Most importantly, we have 3 points to make. The first is that we need to get the $7 million in the USC Neighborhood Preservation Fund out the door quickly so that we can use it efficiently and aggressively in a real estate market where property values have already increased dramatically since 2012 and continue to rise at a high rate. Therefore, we're asking you to amend this item to give HSID the authority to draft and release an RFP for the fund administrator for the $7 million. Secondly, for the fund administrator, we need someone who understands the community and is experienced in small multifamily preservation so that they know how to work the financing structure for this. Otherwise, we'll just be delayed and we'll get fewer units. Finally, we need to have housing at the deepest affordability levels. 80% AMI does not cut it. It will not help stabilize what's happening in this neighborhood. We need it at VLI and ELI. Thank you.
Okay. Ritesh Desai, Robin Lena, and Steve Diaz.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the vice president of the owner 9510 Van Nuys Boulevard. We had a council, so it's a similar request to have all the violations for the units has been taken care, and we would request you to have it for the city council meeting for the May 30th meeting so that we can be out of the REAP by June 29.
Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Robin?
Hi, good afternoon, honorable members of the Housing Committee. I'm here to talk on item 26, and about the 20 million for the affordable housing for our community.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Steve Diaz, and I am with LA CAN. I'm here to speak on item 25. As my colleagues have already mentioned, item 25, the population that's covered under item 25 is already covered with the same fee. To some extent, it feels like it's double dipping. In a time of crucial need, we need to be able to leverage every city dollar for every population that we can. So it's extremely important that we pay attention to these types of details and are able to bring in, be able to pay attention to these details and bring in the need to the most needed help, to people that are the most neediest in need of help. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it. Closes public comment, right?
I believe that's all.
What's your first item?
Sir, your name?
Is that a card?
We were supposed to sign in back there. It's okay. Do it here and then sign up after.
As I said, I'm David Blumberg with the Coalition for a Just LA and a member of Valley Beth Shalom Synagogue's Homeless Task Force. We oppose item 25, the exemption for first-time home buyers who are middle income. The city already has a subsidy program, and based on a 2,000 square foot home, $10 a square feet, we're looking at $20,000 that per home that is lost to the affordable housing funds, to a total of $17 million. The city's subsidy assistance and down payment with the new Freddie Mac program, by the way, that just came out, where anybody, not just moderate or low income people, households can get a 3% down payment. So the 3% on $20,000, the city only has to come up with a $600 subsidy to take care of the additional linkage fee that is badly needed for the city's most vulnerable. Thank you very much.
All right, so that ends the public comment. We have consent items, items 1 through 20, and 21 through, what is that? Item 21, right?
Yeah.
So items 1 through 20, consent motion?
Concur.
Concur, thank you. Item 21 is a Wesson Harris Dawson motion.
We need to take a look at now. Concur.
And then finally, we have a, we did that. Now we're going through item 23, which is the HCID report and resolution relative to authorizing the application for the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Item 23, that is HCID's coming up. Please come up. Item 23. I'm sorry, did you want to call that?
Just to reiterate, item 23 is an HCIDLA report and resolution relative to authorizing the application of to the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee for an allocation of the state ceiling on qualified private activity bonds for a mortgage credit certificate program in the amount of $25,507,424.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Gloria Torres, and I work in a homeownership unit at the Los Angeles Housing and Community Investment Department.
L'associé Aziz, same department.
And HCID is requesting authority to apply to the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee for a single-family mortgage revenue bond of $25.5 million for the city's mortgage credit certificate program. This program is a citywide program for low and moderate income first-time home buyers. It has been around since 1994, and we're requesting an additional allocation to keep the program going. This program assists first-time home buyers by providing them a mortgage interest tax credit equal to 20% of mortgage interest. And that credit allows a home buyer to qualify for a higher first mortgage, thereby increasing their purchasing power. And that mortgage credit can also be utilized for the life of the first mortgage, 30 years, which will save the home buyer money.
Any questions? Just move it, right? Motion? Move. Move.
All right. So item 23 then is approved?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, Mr. Chair, item number 21, which is a motion Wesson Harris Dawson also approved.
Yes, correct.
And we still have item number 22 on the tables.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. What item was that?
Item 22.
22.
Okay, you will call it?
Item 22, CAO report relative to request for payment in lieu of taxes waiver for $7.5 million from the 2018 through 2020 to provide services to public housing residents.
Okay. Sir.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Susie Rios Bellinat. I work with the CAO's office and prepared the report on this matter. I'm joined by...
My name is Eric Brown with the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles.
So I'll provide a brief summary of the report, and then we'll answer any questions you have.
Sure.
So the city and the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles signed a pilot cooperation agreement in 1939. Under this agreement, HACLA reimburses the city for the value of municipal services provided to its developments, given that HACLA is exempt from paying property taxes in the city of Los Angeles. The city has historically granted waivers to allow HACLA to use these funds for services that benefit residents or for capital and infrastructure improvements. The annual amount is based on the level of rents collected from public housing residents at these HACLA developments. So the current request before you today is for $7.5 million, or approximately $2.5 million annually, over the calendar years 2018, 2019, and 2020. Historically, HACLA has requested these funds on an annual basis. This year, they're requesting a 3-year pilot waiver to provide financial consistency and greater contracting flexibility. The request will fund the following programs: Summer Youth Employment Program, Camera Systems Upgrade and Maintenance, Employment Technology Centers and Computer Labs, and the Recreation Program and Operation of Facilities. There is no impact on the general fund. We defer to any questions you may have.
How many kids are going to work?
I have, I believe, over 500 annually each summer, over 500 youth. So 1,500 over the 3-year period is projected.
Where are they going to be? Where are they from?
I'll defer to my colleague.
Yeah, they're typically from either our developments or the surrounding communities.
How many people that participate in the Employment Technology Center end up with employment?
I don't have a percentage, but we have a very robust workforce center in our developments that assist people with employment. And we have a very strong Section 3 program, which is mandated by HUD for us to assist our local residents in jobs placement.
The city has a great targeted local hire program that development residents would be good candidates for. So I would offer that.
Yes. That's what I was thinking.
Tree trimming, sidewalks, we got a lot of work.
Thank you. Point well taken.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Nope. Move to adopt the CAO report.
Concur.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
We're up to 24.
24.
Item 24, Department of City Planning Report relative to analysis of the market impacts of increasing the affordable housing linkage fee and related matters. This also has been referred to the Planning and Land Use Management Committee.
Is this the, right.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Matt Glesney, my colleague.
Arthi Varma.
From the Department of City Planning's with the Housing Policy Unit. We're here to present the report we released on May 2nd relative to a potential adjustment to the recently enacted affordable housing linkage fee. The report is in response to a council motion from council members Bonin, Ryu, and Koretz requesting an analysis of the potential market impacts of increasing the residential fee in high market areas from $15 to $18 per square foot. As background, the linkage fee was adopted by the City Council on December 13, 2017. However, because of its phased-in approach, the city will not begin collecting fees until June 18, 2018. The linkage fee includes a set of different fees depending on whether the project is residential or non-residential and what type of market area it's located in. For residential projects, there's 4 market areas that were created based on local real estate conditions. There's a low, medium, and high, each with its own fee amount ranging from $8 to $15 per square foot for projects with more than 6 units. The $15 per square foot amount in high market areas is applicable in the areas that were determined to have the highest per square foot residential rents and for sale prices in the city. These are the West Side community plan areas of Brentwood, Pacific Palisades, Bel Air, Beverly Crest, Westwood, West LA, Palms, Westchester, and Playa del Rey, as seen on the map in our report. The fee amounts were informed by a thorough market analysis designed to minimize the fee's impact on economic development, job creation, and housing production. The study conducted by BAE Urban Economics includes extensive analysis of development project feasibility to ensure that fees are set at levels that do not constrain otherwise viable development projects. Despite higher costs to develop in these areas, in these high market areas, the Nexus study determined that projects in high market areas will be able to absorb the highest levels of fees without economic feasibility being significantly impacted. Fee amounts were generally found to be well below what was considered economically feasible, and an increase from $15 to $18 would remain below these limits. In order to provide the best analysis we could, we actually updated the analysis in the Nexus study with new information on the proposed update to a new fee being proposed on the West Side called the West Side Transportation Impact Assessment, or TIA, fee program, which would increase fees on residential projects in 2 West LA communities to fund transportation improvements. Those TIA fees have been approved by Planning Commission but are currently pending City Council consideration. Even after the inclusion of the proposed West Side TIA fees into the economic pro forma models, the proposed increase from $15 to $18 per square foot is considered within the range of economic feasibility for all types of residential development. Although it's worth mentioning that the feasibility margins are smaller for apartment buildings compared to other types of residential developments such as single family or condominiums. The report notes that several neighboring communities have higher impact fees than those under consideration by this report. This includes the cities of Pasadena, Santa Monica, and West Hollywood, which have residential housing impact fees ranging from $38, $33, and $20 per square foot, respectively. A study completed by Kaiser Marston Associates found that housing production had increased in all those 3 cities after the fee was imposed. This suggests that an $18 square foot fee on the west side of LA would not slow housing production. It's also important to note that because the affordable housing linkage fee was intentionally designed to be coupled with incentives for the production of new housing supply and affordable units, many types of projects will not be subject to the linkage fee at all. The ordinance includes exemptions and deductions for adaptive reuse, small multifamily structures, less than 5 units, accessory dwelling units, and projects that include a set amount of affordable housing within the projects on site. This includes projects that are able to take advantage of the city's current density bonus programs, the TOC program that we launched last year, as well as new incentive programs being considered for the Expo transit neighborhood plans on the west side. If a project takes part in those incentive programs to receive the benefits they allow for and include on-site affordable units, they will be completely exempt from the affordable housing linkage fee. Finally, I'll note that the linkage fee nexus study was structured to comply with the California Mitigation Fee Act. The proposed fee increase is well below the range of the maximum legal fees for residential projects as determined by the Nexus study, which was $42 to $74 per square foot, and therefore is legally defensible. An increase in the fee on floor area from $15 to $18 would likely result in approximately $6.3 million in additional annual linkage fee revenues per year. In conclusion, the department does not anticipate that there would be significant market impacts to the development on the west side market areas with an increase of the proposed linkage fee from $15 to $18 per square foot. And we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
So I'm looking at the $38, $33, and $20, Pasadena, Santa Monica, West Hollywood. did you think about going higher in terms of, because those are areas that seem to be adjacent to the same targeted area. You've got West Hollywood on the east side of this area, and then you've got Santa Monica on the west side. And they're averaging, if you put those two together, about $26, $26.50 per.
Yes, Councilmember Matt Glesney, Planning. With the initial proposal, we certainly analyzed and thought about the range of fees that we could be asking for. This particular motion just asked us to look at the $18, but as part of our initial study, we did look at higher fees. We did increase that. We went with a bifurcated system that allows for higher fees on the west side versus other areas of the city. I think there was concern from going a little too much higher because of what I mentioned with the apartments. Apartments in our feasibility study showed that they can absorb about $21 in fees, and so we wanted to stay below that level. So $18 is below that, but getting a little close. But there is a lot more room, just to say that, there is more room for condominiums and single-family detached and attached buildings, but apartments showed a limited feasibility.
So is there anything that precludes you from separating, one, the areas and having different rates in different areas, or the use? So like you just described, condominiums, apartments, so on and so forth, and proposing different fees for different uses in different areas, because even in the high impact areas, there is some unevenness.
Yes, Councilmember, I believe that is an option in front of the council to differentiate not only by geography but by project types. There is significant differences by different types. I think part of it, we didn't want to get too much into engineering, whether you go condo or whether you go apartments, and we felt the flat fee was
well, it just, I have a little bit of concern about our credibility if we put forward as a solution that we think the fee in Pacific Palisades should be similar to what it is in Oakland, because that's what we have here. So just, you know, and I understand you might not want to have a higher fee that's across the whole area, but I mean, you know, Los Angeles has in it world-class real estate that compares much significantly more favorably than any part of Oakland. Not to pick on Oakland.
Arthi Varma, Department of City Planning.
West Hollywood and Santa Monica.
Right.
I would just say that the Nexus study that was the basis for the fees looked at the different fees that could be feasible within Los Angeles. So I think the idea of differentiating across geographies was really comparing with different neighborhoods within Los Angeles. The chart in the report back that compares fees in different cities was really meant to illustrate that the feasibility of raising the fee from $15 to $18 was something that the city could absorb.
Sure. So, I mean, I appreciate you all's work on this, and especially the work of CD1 to give us a path forward on this, because I think it's a big deal. It's long overdue, something we would have, should and could have done a long time ago. $6 million seems like a low number for a city of our size, but it is what it is. A city of our size and our wealth, $6 million seems like a low amount. But I imagine you all will look more at that. The thing I would offer, and this is not a question to you all, I just think that in this conversation, we get a lot of legitimate, necessary, and enlightening critique of the public sector and public policy and the rules that the government makes. And there's very little attention on the market, right? So on the private sector, that with no fees, all kinds of incentives, there are wide swaths of the city, I represent a lot of them, there are other members that represent them, where they can't figure out how to build at all. And so this idea that you can change the rules enough so that they will behave in a different way, I think, I don't want it to be missed, that is lost on many of us. You know, there are major parts of my districts that are on transportation corridors connected to big employers whose workers live over an hour away. and the market can't figure out how to build housing to attract those workers on land that's some of the cheapest land you're going to get anywhere in the county of Los Angeles, anywhere in Southern California. So I just think, I think it's right to criticize and to look at and to shake and to cajole the public sector to do more or less or to get it right. But I don't want it to be lost, Mr. Chair, that the market does not, the private sector does not come to this without shortcomings. And I think it's important to point that out every step of the way. Thank you.
No, I think the maps are so glaring, right, that I think we just have an opportunity to recognize the incredible wealth and the fact that we have these communities like West Hollywood or Santa Monica, others that are contiguous, and that there's no reason why one should be at 27 and we're at 15. It's really hard to differentiate when you're driving through West Hollywood, right? If you're off of Sunset, I mean, it's hard to differentiate. And so we should think about that, given the council in terms of what are the limits that you laid out, and do that type of study that then guides our decision making. I mean, it really is metrics that could help us so that the 6 becomes a bigger number, right? Okay. So maybe we'll have another motion separate from this one. Right. On this we do it. Oh yeah, so this is going to go to Plum? Okay, so we could send a separate, I think you heard us, so you can see what our interests are, is to try to have a concurrence, or coherence rather, given the geography of the increase, and see what that gets us. And since it's going to Plum, then maybe that could be also part of the report. This report amended goes to Plum, telling them what happens if you get a coherence between those areas. Yeah. Is that good? Is that clear? Yep. Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, for committee action, you wish them to report back in regard to further what you were discussing, or?
No, I think it's going to Plum. I mean, I think we should keep moving it.
Okay, then in that case, what is our committee action?
Our committee is to adopt the resolution, right?
We can do that.
Attached to the planning report about the increase, but then with those instructions that this doesn't go to Plum simply about the 18, but also what happens if you bring coherence, right? It was 2650 in the contiguous areas. And then you told us that, well, it varies. If it's apartments, maybe it's down to 21. That's fine. So we go 18 to 21 there. But then on the comparables, I mean, we do apples to apples, oranges to oranges, and then get the numbers that make sense.
Very good.
Clear. Make sense? And then it can just go to Plum. We don't have to, you're in Plum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see you there.
So, clear? Good? All right.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item number 25.
Oh, that's a great
ACIDLA report relative to an affordable housing linkage fee exemption for middle-income home ownership units related matters.
Yes. Yes. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Claudia Monterrosa, and I'm the Director for Public Policy and Research at ACIDLA. And before you is a report back on the council motion from Mr. Cedillo, which directs the department to outline how a proposed affordable housing linkage fee exemption for middle-income home ownership could be administered. The outline exemption would apply to new for-sale construction units sold to qualified middle-income first-time home buyers on a unit-by-unit basis. As we all know, access to affordable home ownership opportunities has become increasingly difficult, even for middle-income families. Just 36% of residents owning their home and the median home value in the city is about $674,000, a price that's only affordable to households earning over $130,000 per year. As we developed this report, we considered a myriad of options, but it's also important to note that the affordable housing linkage fee allows for a variety of exemptions as described by the planning department prior to my report, and discounts for rental and homeownership housing developments that include a certain percentage of affordable housing restrictions, including exempting newly constructed single-family detached homes that are less than 1,500 square feet in size. We will be outlining how this exemption report would work, but it is also very important to note that there would be a fiscal impact to the linkage fee projected revenue.
Of course.
So how would this program work? The exemptions would only be considered on a unit-by-unit basis. Middle income is defined as 125 to 150% or $135,000 per year for a household of four, which is consistent with HC's existing moderate income purchase assistance program and the low income purchase assistance program as well. The current definition of first-time home buyer is someone who has not had an ownership interest in any real property at any time in the last 3 years. And the unit must be priced below the maximum purchase price as defined under the city's mortgage certificate program in the non-targeted area, high-cost area calculation, which is currently $585,000 for the city. I just wanted to give you an example of the kinds of jobs that people would occupy this potential new home ownership opportunity. So for a computer programmer who's living alone, they could afford potentially, one household income will be about $91,000, and they could potentially afford somewhat of a home at that income level. Also, a family of four with 2 full-time kindergarten teachers could afford a 150% AMI new home. So how would the process work? Before getting a building permit, the developer must record a covenant that restricts the sale of the unit to income-eligible households. The unit must be priced below the purchase price of the non-targeted areas, which is $585,000. After HCID has approved the purchase price through the income qualification process and confirmed the existence of the affordability covenant, the developer must submit an affirmative marketing plan that demonstrates compliance with the state and federal fair housing laws. The developer will then refer to any potential first-time home buyers to HCID for verification of eligibility and execution of the regulatory agreement between the city and the new home buyer. Once HCID has approved the potential buyer, the sale price and the terms of the loan that the homeowner is securing, the sale can move forward into escrow. If the home builder cannot find an eligible home buyer, they can choose to pay the linkage fee instead, and HCID would allow the affordability covenant to be removed. Once the initial buyer when that buyer decides to sell or refinance or transfer the title of the property, the city will then come in and require a shared appreciation and payment of the initial discount. And we are defining an initial discount or subsidy as the fair market value of the restricted unit at the time of the initial sale minus the initial sales price to the buyer. And so the proportionate share of that appreciation is equal to the ratio of the city's initial discount to the fair market value, and that's what we will be recapturing at that time.
Can you, pardon me, just because the algebra isn't so good this time of afternoon, could you go over that math one more time, a little bit slower?
Okay, and I can also ask our homeownership folks to come over and help explain how the shared appreciation component works.
Good afternoon, Gloria Torres, Homeownership Unit with HCID DLA. So as Claudia was mentioning, under this scenario, there would be a discount to the home buyer. We're calling that an initial subsidy. So there would be built-in equity when they purchase that home. So housing is proposing to capture that built-in equity with a proportionate share of appreciation when the home buyer sells. So as far as the math, it's basically just the discount or the initial subsidy divided by the purchase price. So we have two scenarios in the back, two examples. I do want to point out that under our regular citywide low and moderate income purchase assistance program, soft second loans that we fund, we also recapture that loan with a shared appreciation component. And it works very similarly this way. So
The participation on that is, because somebody said that nobody's going to buy these houses. Do you get participation on with the existing deal?
yes, with this loan term, we have administered a citywide low and moderate income purchase program for over 20 years. We are currently oversubscribed on the moderate income program. We reopened it in October of 2017, and we closed it 6 months later in early April. We have funded approximately 45 loans, and we have maybe 7 or so in escrow. So yes, home buyers do purchase and do borrow based on that loan term. So they do, even on the low income side.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm almost finished here. How much will this exemption potentially cost the city? So what we did is we analyzed the data that was utilized to do the projections for the entire linkage fee revenue. So basically all activity for the past 6 years. And so we actually, because there already exists a 1,500 square foot exemption for single family detached homes, what we decided to do was to extract data that really captured homes that were 1,501 to 2,500 square feet, because we wanted to kind of gauge, how much of a home can a 150% household income household could actually afford in this market in the city. So that calculation led to include about 1,700 market rate single family homes, 1,500, about 1771 market rate single-family homes in total. And then we calculated the actual square footage, which came out to about 6 million square feet of production of new single-family home production, including condominiums and artists in lofts. So we actually try to capture the entire universe, and we wanted to provide you with a maximum exposure of what this exemption would look like if everybody would take advantage of this potential exemption. And that's how we came up with a figure of up to $17 million per year in lost revenue if we were to do that. But, really want to make the case that this is for maximum exposure. There is still exposure even if a certain percentage of that would take this exemption. And as we were just describing, people do take advantage of these types of programs. So there will be an impact in reduction of the expected revenue that we are working with to come back to you with a expenditure plan that will be coming to you sometime in June. But I also wanted to emphasize that we are doing programs like the LIPA and MIPA program, and we are prioritizing home ownership up to 150% of AMI through the linkage fee revenue that is going to be coming, and also trying to come up with very innovative ideas to create opportunities for folks that live in those neighborhoods that are experiencing displacement, and also for maybe folks that may be experiencing an ELLIS removal of their current renters, and they may want to use that money to get into a home ownership opportunity. And the linkage fee funds will be able to afford us that opportunity. Also, because we are expecting the revenue to start coming in come June, middle of June of this year, with the existing exemption that we have of single-family detached homes, we are already foregoing about $3.3 million on a yearly basis if development will continue to keep pace. So already we are not capturing that $3.3 million from that exemption for single-family detached homes. So if you have any questions, we're already here for.
You know, see, our challenge is you look at these maps.
Yes.
You see the incredible wealth in certain parts of the city, and then you see the lack of development in other parts of the city. And Mr. Harris Dawson and myself seem to represent that other side of the city. And the question is, how do we create that housing stock so that our communities can grow and we can bridge this divide that exists? It's very blatant between wealth and poverty and renters and homeowners. And so this is a strategy that we're looking at, but I'm asking you, in addition to this, what are the opportunities that exist for us in Sacramento? We know the state is robust with an incredible surplus that Governor Brown has done an extraordinary job. I left Sacramento, we were in deficit. It was the end of the Schwarzenegger era, and now the state has paid all its bills and has more money than we could imagine. Mm-hmm. And so what opportunities exist for us so that we can not simply have a city that's divided as dramatically as it is and begin to build this bridge and build a middle class? We're losing the middle class. Our thoughts are that this will create housing for people who work for the city, for the school board, for the district, for the county, people who work in public safety. You know, we hear the laments about people having to drive in, and this is the way we build for not just low-income people, but also for the middle that we're missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think just from the review of the data that we analyzed, there seemed to be a lot of activity in the under 1,500 square feet home size in more of the diverse income communities in the city. When you start going above 1,500 square feet, you see the development based on the data that we reviewed in the more affluent areas of the city, like Chatsworth, the West Side, some of the areas of the valley that command perhaps a higher value for a new single-family product. But there's a lot of detached homes that are being built that are fall within the small lot subdivision. But you know, some of those are taking place in areas such as Eagle Rock and Silver Lake, but those are not coming out to be priced at an accessible price purchase for moderate or lower income households. And I don't know if you'd like to add more to where you see the activity happening.
Tell me about, so are these like houses too big for couples that just seem to have more wealth, or is it, because it seems these households are also smaller families, whereas in our communities we have bigger families.
You have bigger families, yeah.
And yet you seem to be telling us, but the bigger families are being locked into the 1,500 square feet and below and aren't moving into the bigger houses. We're not either building them or for some reason they're not unable to.
Well, we're running out of land, right? So we're building a little bit more denser, and that means you know, more smaller units in certain areas, not in all areas, because we also saw a widespread of new homes that were upwards of over 20,000 square feet size homes. But those were really like in Bel Air and, you know, some really affluent areas where there's that kind of construction going on. Throughout the city, the more infill type of development is what we saw was happening in terms of the trends. But I'd also like to have Gloria talk about the kinds of families that have purchased the product that existing homes, not necessarily new homes.
So I can talk a little bit about the citywide low and moderate income program. They buy existing housing primarily. They're buying condos and single-family homes. For example, on the low-income side, and with our low-income purchase assistance program, we have funded about 319 loans over the last 5 program years. The majority of those loans are done in Council District 8, 15, 9, 6, and 7. So that's where they're buying in the affordable areas. And I could give you a snapshot, for example, the average purchase price is $286,249. So although the city's median price of the home is high in the $600,000 range, low-income and moderate-income families are still purchasing homes. And for example, again, on the low-income side, 43% were condos and 56% were single-family homes of those 319 loans that were done. And the program is still open. We still have deals in escrow. On the moderate-income side, they're purchasing, like the top district, for example, is CD3. But CD8 and CD15 are tied for second place. And then we also see deals in 6 and 7 and 9. But the moderate income folks have more flexibility because they have higher income. So they're able to, they have more access or opportunities to buy in other areas of the city. So on that side, we have two brackets. We have the moderate, or what we call MIPA 120, which is 81% of AMI to 120% of AMI. They're buying, the average purchase price that we have seen is $383,983. And on the next bracket, the higher bracket is from 121% of AMI to 150% of AMI. Average purchase price is $483,200. Overall, it's 53% condos and 46% single-family homes. So if the assistance is there with these programs, they will purchase, they will find. And we work with a large network of dedicated lenders, realtors, and homebuyer educators who are dedicated and devoted to assisting low and moderate income homebuyers find homes. So.
In addition to that, the linkage fee already incentivizes some of this by exempting density bonus projects that may have condominiums. And if they do decide to dedicate up to 40% of the units of the total project, those will be exempt from the linkage fee as well. So that's an existing linkage fee exemption right now that would encourage the development of condominiums for sale opportunities. On top of the already single-family detached homes up to 1,500 square feet.
So thank you for this presentation and research and presentation. So I'm going to just do some back-of-the-envelope math, and you tell me if I'm off on this. So if the value of the home is 100, right, and I'm given a 25% discount, I'm making up a number, and so I pay 75, and in 10 years it quadruples in value, so I sell it for 400. That 25%, that $25 discount that I got, I have to pay that back times 4, which would be 100.
So under the exemption?
Yeah, under the exemption that you're describing.
So yes, so it would be it's a $25,000 discount,
okay,
right?
So
then we would divide the $25,000 from the $100,000, right, to get the shared appreciation.
So I would have, so on something that started off at 100,000 and went to 400,000, I would be entitled to 300,000. The buyer would be entitled to 300,000 of the $400,000 profit, and they'd have to pay back 100,000.
Correct, roughly,
okay,
yes,
got it.
generally speaking.
So they get some of the benefit, just not 100% of it.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, so versus when you have an apartment, you get 0, right?
Right. So when you rent, the benefit of owning a home is that every monthly payment, you write off the mortgage interest on your Schedule A. You write off your property taxes. You're paying down, it's kind of like forced saving, which every payment you make is paying down the principal. Plus, there's a opportunity for appreciation. Okay, so then if you sell in the future, then you can potentially, after you pay off the first mortgage, if there's a balance and selling costs, you still have some equity. You could have some equity unless there's a major downturn. When you rent, unfortunately, you don't write off any of that. There is a minimal renter's credit, that California offers, but that's about it. Now, I do want to point out, since we talked about the mortgage credit certificate program earlier, the vast majority of the low and moderate income home buyers that participate in our loan program also obtain an MCC. It's approximately 85 to 88% also get an MCC. So they also benefit from the tax credit. Not only do they write off 80% of the mortgage interest on their Schedule A, but they also take that other 20% as a tax credit, which is more valuable dollar for dollar. So, that's our view.
So it's a good deal for people.
I think so, yes.
Who, thank you for that. I also appreciate you reporting on the numbers on the uptake of this in the various districts. I can tell you just in the numbers that you gave me, more people got housing from this project than got from all private development of market rate units in my district during the time that I've been on the council. So it's a very, very big deal for us. Last question. So the person buys, they sell, they pay the city back the money. Where does that money go? Do we recycle it so that the program's ongoing, or do we take the profit and put it in the city coffers?
No, it would go back into the Affordable Housing Linkage Impact Trust Fund. So any recapture funds will go in there, and then will be recycled to go back into the expenditure plan or the priorities of the city at that time. And I just wanted to also emphasize that this is like a two-prong exemption program, since we're creating something new. One is the benefit is afforded to the home builder at the onset, and then the benefit to the actual homeowner that gets the new home at that price.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, we're ready to move it?
Move?
Yeah. So move.
Okay. And that would be a note and file then, since it's just informational.
So it's a request city attorney to prepare the ordinance.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Item number 26, HCDI-LA and CAO reports relative to community survey of affordable housing issues within the University of Southern California Nexus study area.
We got closed session. Okay. Getting tired now. Let's go. 4:30. Okay.
Good afternoon. Emily Zen-Cervantes, Office of the CAO. The HCID is requesting approval to allocate $10 million received as part of the University of Southern California Development Agreement. They are requesting to use $2 million for the naturally occurring affordable housing loan program, which was recently approved by Council. In addition, they want the funding to be allocated to 4 programs, a USC Neighborhood Preservation Fund, a USC Area Accessory Dwelling Unit, a USC Neighborhood Dashboard, community education, as well as program administration. Our office, they are also requesting resolution authority for a senior management analyst 1. Our office generally agrees with these recommendations, except we believe that due to the number of vacancies in the department, we are recommending that HCID use an existing vacant position authority to administer the housing fund as well as the programs for USC. As we have stated in other committees, we recommend that HCID fill their existing vacancies and then conduct a comprehensive assessment of their staffing, and then request for additional resources after the assessment is completed. Our report has differences from HCID's report, mainly in the controller instructions and the allocation of funding for the 4 programs, because in their original request, they had requested funding for half a full-time equivalent position. and then we're hoping that they would get full funding through the 18-19 budget process. However, that process is done and complete. So our report provides for salaries, funding for salaries for a full year for a position, again, using existing resolution authority. And as such, we had to reduce or change the funding for the remaining 4 programs. Subsequent to the release of the report, we received requests from the council offices as well as from the department to amend the allocation of the remaining funds. Therefore, I'd like to verbally amend our report. We've listened to these requests and we concur with these requests. And so I'd like to verbally amend our report, specifically recommendation 1D. I'd like to amend the allocation for the USC Neighborhood Preservation Fund and reduce it from $7 million to $6,951,025. And I'd also like to amend the allocation for the accessory dwelling unit to increase it from $620,152 to $669,127. Finally, the recommendations in our report do not have an impact to the general fund. I am here, as well as members of the department, to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Helmi Hisserick with HSID. I wanted to provide you a little bit more detail on the recommendations that we've made.
Are you good with are these reconciled now, the recommendations? Are you good with that?
Are they reconciled?
Yep.
Yes. We know what
You
they're...
agree?
Yes, we agree.
Okay. You want to move this?
Move. Your recommendations included, I move this, Mr. Chair.
We're prepared to move the item. You have any objection? Nope.
All right. Mr. Chair, I think I have an instruction that I'm going to read. I move that the $669,127 line item for the USC area accessory dwelling unit demonstration project be reallocated to the Bethune Library project at 3685 South Vermont Avenue. And I move that $1 million in the USC Neighborhood Preservation Fund be allocated to the 52nd and Figueroa project at 5215 and 5260 South Figueroa Street in District 9.
You guys work that out?
We got it?
You guys are good with that?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. Not for me to interfere with. Okay.
We done?
That's the motion. Approved. We're good?
All right, approved as amended, very good.
The amendment.
The amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, and then finally,
Item number 27, closed session item, city attorney report relative to pending litigation in the case of Tryon Properties Management versus City of Los Angeles. Case number BC 628001 in connection with outstanding fees and penalties assessed under the city's rent escrow program. The city attorney wants to speak.
We're going to go ahead, right?
Or
we're prepared to go. You need us to go into close, or we can just...
If there's no discussion.
There's no discussion. We had that earlier. Okay. No, we had the discussions earlier, and they're connected with the appropriate people.
Just approve that.
Yeah, so we approve the...
Yes, if the committee is okay with the city attorney's recommendation, we can go ahead and just approve the report.
Motion to approve? Mr. Harris Dawson? Yes.
Motion.
Concur? Dispense with the item?
Once you guys vote on this.
Yep.
yeah, so we're,
Okay, thank you.
and that is the entire agenda.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
So be the order. Thank you.